Bill Clinton. I told you, you got to look at the documentary called Bill Clinton, His Life. There's 2 or 3 out there, but they all say the same thing, that he's corrupt, assassin. He's had people killed. Every time he gets in trouble, he has a crew of people go out and take care of his dirty work. They don't know who they are. Some are related to the Chinese. He's got real good, strong ties with the Chinese.
Are they ninjas?
I don't know. They could be. There's some gang from China that they were. He's got real strong ties with the Chinese, even the government. He sold, like Pete said, your father said, he sold. He didn't sell. He gave them access to secrets and things that we should have never had given them.
Who? The Chinese?
Clinton did. Clinton gave the Chinese all these inroads to make. That's why they kicked our ass and low.
In what?
In industry. They're hiring the poor peasants to build the stuff that we used to. We should have had a law that you could not have this work brought in. I mean, the peasants are working on products, and that's why they can sell them so cheap. That's why Walmart and these companies are doing okay, but they kicked us out of our jobs. I'm saying this, I don't know the whole thing, but
why don't we just
Clinton has sold us out.
Why don't we just remove the minimum wage in America?
What would that do?
That way we could pay peasant wages.
Yeah, but then how would you know what I mean? Does that make any sense, paying insurance and everything else?
No, I mean, we pay for people's insurance, right? So that they're at least got health benefits. We give them all 401k plans so that they all have somewhat of an investment in the business.
Yeah.
We just don't pay them $8 an hour. We let the you know the specifics of the location and the industry type determine what the pay is. So if someone is say a garment worker in Los Angeles, you know, we pay them, you know, $1.50 an hour.
Wow. So they go home with a $60 check each weekend.
Right, but they have medical.
And then they buy groceries that are like really expensive. But how does we supplement? I mean,
no, everybody. If there's a minimum threshold of poverty, right?
Okay, yeah.
So we lower the minimum wage to just whatever the market will bear.
Yeah.
And then we just say, well, if you're in the poverty level, then that means you're entitled to the benefits for poverty, meaning that, you know, you get a grocery card for $200 a month or whatever it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like you just so instead of the government subsidizing corporations, oil industries,
like
the corn and all of that stuff, which we all do, military and all of that.
That's ridiculous.
We subsidize the poor, but we let the business actually pay what the market will bear. So then all of a sudden, America is now competitive with all of these, you know, third world nations.
Right. We're just
so there's no reason for Walmart to go out of the country because they can pay our employees.
Yeah, well, that's the idea.
They can pay our employees 50
cents an hour. Or else you shut it down where they can't. It's illegal to bring in.
What do you think about that?
Well, that's one way.
I call that.
Or you make it illegal for them to buy products outside of the third world.
I call that plan 10-10-10.
Why 10-10-10?
Because it's win-win-win.
Well, that's a good idea, I guess. But you know how we're destroying ourselves because of our Congress and Senate and
how are we doing that?
The whole system. Because you got those. What do those guys do? The name of those guys that go to Congress and say, "Vote on this bill. Here's your money for your re-election campaign. Here's this, and here's a brand new house we bought you. Don't forget to vote for our program." And they do it. That's what's illegal. We should stop all that. Make it illegal to influence congressional votes with money and favors. Make that illegal. No more of that. We didn't start out that way in our government. We didn't start out by buying congressman votes, but we do it now all the time. And all they do is, you know what I'm saying? They're voting against stuff that they know in the long run is going to hurt them, but they don't care because they'll be dead and retired, and they made all this money, and I can leave my son my home that I got from this oil industry.
So should we just let politics be a rich man's sport?
That's what I'm trying to do. I want to stop it. I don't want these. I forget the name of these guys. There's a name for them. They go around.
Lobbyists?
Lobbyists. We need to outlaw lobbying. It's got to be outlawed.
How do you outlaw it, though?
You just outlaw it. So when someone finds out about someone getting favors, we take the guy, the senator, or the congressman to court. That way the votes would be more down the road. And maybe we should do something like control the campaign.
What if you capped the government, like senators and House of Representatives? What if you said they can only get paid the same as the medium income in their district?
That would be pretty good.
So not $100,000 a year. Yeah. They're not allowed to do. They're not any money that they make on anything else.
Yeah.
During like any of their businesses, all of that, they have to donate all of that money to charity.
Yeah, you get some.
They have to give that money back, so that the only reason that they're doing it is not to make money, but to be a public service.
Well, that's what it's supposed
because
to
you see,
be.
Isn't that the problem? Isn't government? It's not like it's people go into politics. It's like a business to them. They're making money, right?
Yeah, that's why they're doing it.
We have to remove
influence.
We have to remove the whole concept of we're trying to make more money. We get influence and blah, blah, blah. So you have to remove that equation and just say, you can only make as much money as the people in your district, the medium income. So it's now up to you to raise that level because your income is going to go up higher.
Yeah, and also the same thing with the presidential races. Make it a government subsidized. So they give everybody who runs, who gets so many votes, so much money from the government to run. They all have to have the same equal amount of money. They all get $1 million for their campaign or whatever it is. No extra interest money coming in to influence the vote of the presidents who are running. That way, it's a more level campaign. It's not a slick commercial ad. Well, who's got the best ads? And the debates.
I think that all of the political ads should be done by students.
Yeah, well,
like no companies. You can't pay somebody big bucks to do the ads.
I'm saying you control that.
It's all got to be fair. It's all got to be fair, and it's all got to be like for the people.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not about making money.
No more slick commercials.
Because this is the whole thing. It's like you own the media conglomerate, so you're not making any money directly. But then you probably have somehow ties to the advertising agencies or the film companies that are making your commercials. So you're paying them anyways.
That's what I'm saying.
And you're ending up getting the money anyways, right?
It's corrupted.
It's all corrupt. So we have to remove money from the equation, right?
Yes.
Money is the root of all evil. Maybe you see, don't you think that and I know this is kind of like a sore subject with most people, but don't you think on some levels the people in especially in the Middle East and in Asia, their main gripes are not necessarily that far off. The whole concept that America is this devil entity.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's like money is a problem in this country. People are addicted to acquiring it. There's no stopping of it. Yeah. Everybody wants it, everybody's willing to do whatever it takes to get it.
Yeah, fuck the other guy.
And it ends up impacting our decisions, so that our decisions are not always based upon what's best for whatever that task at hand is. What the decision is usually is how can we either make more money, how can we save money, or how can we more efficiently use our money.
I know.
So if you remove the profit from the equation and make public servants actually public servants, like the word servant, I don't know if people understand what a servant is.
No,
I don't think people understand that.
It's been changed.
I think that maybe all public servants should have to be a waiter at some point in their life.
Well, let's get
or a butler or something.
We'll be back to this after our next commercial
I just have
break.
one other question.
Yeah, time's running out.
Yeah, I have one other question.
One other question.
My last question for you happens to deal with let's see, we've talked about with the military.
Oh boy.
Okay. So now I want to know what your opinion is. Now, do you think it's essential that America have a strong military?
Yeah, I think so. But not so. I think we're overdoing it. But
where specifically are we overdoing?
Well, I mean, we're putting these black projects, and I just don't know how much. I don't know. I think we waste. Our visions are still ground troops and stuff. We should be going into space. That's where our protection would be. Have a base. You want to put a base on the moon? Fine. Put a base on the moon. Something more advanced than just having big troops and new tanks. We've already got that system. We beat everybody in the world. We got the best jets and all that. And I don't think nuclear weapons. We have all that.
Oh, well, how do we keep rogue nations and people who don't like us? How do we keep those people?
Well, we have enough troops to contain some of that problem.
Let me run this by you and tell me what you think.
What?
Do you think that if instead of trying, like part of our whole package, and it probably stems from the fact that again, the military complex is making money off of the creation of military hardware.
Right.
So therefore, it suits their needs to lobby for a bigger military.
Right. And we've got too much now.
But if we took a sizable portion of that budget, like what an aircraft carrier costs, or what it actually costs every day,
$1.8 billion.
It's like an insane amount of money that we spend every single day on the troops. What if we took all of that money and invested it in educating young people around the third world? Like, instead of going in and hiring them at 50 cents an hour to do work that we won't allow to have done in our country, we go in and we actually work on educating people and trying to say we actually care about people. Well, and so therefore, because we may not be able to change the hearts and minds of the current generation in the Middle East, the reason that the terrorists exist is not because they necessarily want to go and blow us up or blow themselves up, but because they've got a gripe and they feel that the only way that they can have their voices heard is by doing these extreme acts. Yeah. So if we can get to the children
Yeah, but
And if we can educate the world and have everybody on the same level playing field, that we're all interested in peace and harmony,
yeah,
you know.
a Peace Corps, a better united, a stronger
yeah, don't
Peace
you
Corps,
think?
building dams,
Don't
doing
you think
kind
that
of
we would
stuff in
that
the
money
world.
that we would see a depletion in the amount of violence around the world?
It would be a good try. I would like to see if we build dams in Afghanistan. You know, the growing poppies and stuff over there now. And the Taliban actually stopped that for a while.
Okay, but do you think we should legalize drugs?
Yeah, that's an easy one. We should legalize marijuana and all that and tax the hell out
Should
of
we
it.
legalize heroin and cocaine?
No, you can't legalize. Well, you can legalize it for painkiller, for certain conditions of cancer and stuff, that kind of stuff. Legalize controlled medicine, but that whole thing with marijuana will pay a lot of our debt
Well,
off in California.
marijuana doesn't really, I think, count. It's just kind of ridiculous. I think the only reason marijuana is
we can
illegal
tax it.
is because the tobacco industries don't
Yeah.
they don't want to lose money on it.
But we can tax the hell out of it.
Yeah, we could. No, I agree with you. But I'm just wondering, should we just legalize?
I don't think you can legalize
Why?
hardcore drugs. That's
No?
a little bit. Well, I mean, you can legalize them for doctors and stuff, a different kind of. What are we talking about? No, not all drugs, because you can't have people on heroin walking around the streets, or that's like giving legalizing morphine.
Well, I know. But
Legal
what
to
if,
that
what if
sense
you?
of-
But what if you made it so that that if you're walking? Well, why do people?
Well, in
wanna-
England, they used to be able to go in the drugstore and get their heroin.
But why do
legally.
people want to do heroin?
They do heroin. It's just like drinking. It's an escape. It's an escape. It's a different kind of escape, but it's the same thing. To feel relaxed, and most people are relaxed on it, and you escape from the world. It's a pretty heavy controlled drug. It's not something you can legalize, because people OD on it too. It's very strong. So that would not be. That's a drug you'd never get legalized anyway. Other than pain medication.
Would
yeah.
you legalize LSD, mushrooms?
Well, that's a tough one too. What are we going to do? Go to bars and drop acid, or maybe under some controlled psychological filter? They have these groups now in different countries where they take you out on LSD trips. I saw on the internet where they take a group of 10 people out to the park or something, and it's a secret underground thing, but they actually have this stuff. But it's illegal. But I mean, I don't know. That's something that we shouldn't even talk about.
No, I'm just curious, because it's like, if you were in charge of things, how would you?
I don't know.
Like, what would you do? How would you? When people came to you and said, Vince, what do you want to do about illegal drugs? Should we make them legal? What do you want to do? Okay.
Basically, most of them should be legal.
This one you need more.
Control the
intel.
mafia.
We need more, right? Because
knocks down the illegal.
Because I think it all again comes down to money to
It's
a
just
degree.
like prohibition.
That
when we
there's
had the
people
mob.
making money off of things being
illegal, right?
And so many people who
Kennedy.
claim that it's like unhealthy,
Yeah,
or
but
that
that's
it's
just an ad
bad for
campaign.
society.
Right.
That's just a smokescreen, because
Yeah.
it may be all those things, but a lot of these people, the real bottom line is, no, we're making money off of it being illegal.
That's
and so
right.
It's not in our
Big
interest
money.
to make it legal.
That's how prohibition,
So
same
let's
thing.
talk about immigration.
Well, what are we going to do about immigration?
What are we gonna do about
We don't need no more
immigration?
people coming in. We can't. Anyway, we don't need that anymore. We need to tighten that up, because we got too many people here now. We're using up our resources. We need to just kind of stop it. Special cases. People with well education, have wealth and money, can be brought in, but you can't keep letting the poor coming in. They have to take care of it in their own country. We can help out Mexico or whatever, but you can't keep bringing them in. Now, we just don't need them anymore. We just don't need that many people coming in. It's ridiculous. LA's going to be a Spanish populated.
It already is.
I mean, it's becoming to the point where it'll be 90% or 70% Spanish and 30% white.
But can you answer me this? Why would that be bad?
Because, when we have to leave this area, we'll have to eventually, we won't.
But I'm
go
just
home.
saying, isn't that just part of the dynamic of culture, that it just,
Yeah,
it rises and falls? The
that's
people who
right.
speak a certain language,
There'll be a new
they
kind
come
of
in and out. But I mean,
a Mexican American who speaks both languages.
It's like, we are what we are. The bottom line is that because we have focused all of our attention in the Middle East and in Asia, trying to control our interests there, we've neglected our interests here, in the northern and southern hemispheres, and as a result, our borders, maintaining the borders it's an industry into itself.
Yeah, it's a joke.
It's another example of here we are. If we're really serious about immigration, then we should just simply use our military
to stop it. We have the people to do it. It can be done.
We've got how many thousands of dollars that we're spending every day in Iraq and Afghanistan and Korea, all over the world.
It's ridiculous.
If we want to close it, but then obviously the whole bottom line is we don't really want to close it.
Right, there's secret negotiations going on.
So then what we have to do is simply face the bottom line fact, which is
get rid of the politicians who won't do it. That's what I say.
Well, which is if the truth is we're not really that interested in containing immigration. We just need to look
Well,
like we are because that's what makes votes. But people are still making money off of
the
it.
whole thing.
Then we need to address those issues. Like what exactly? Let's just be honest. Instead of lie about everything, let's just be honest with
don't.
what it is that we are. And that's the whole thing. I think people in America need to take a reality check.
And the news
Who are
media-
we? What are we really interested in?
People are waking up. That's the one good thing. They all know now. Most people say the news media is controlled. They know it's controlled by there's certain things the news media won't talk about.
Let me ask you this: is there really any difference in the type of human being that Bill Clinton and George Bush are?
No, they're both the same corrupt bastards. Really, they are. They're both. Seems like every politician but Eisenhower and Kennedy seem to have been corrupted pretty bad. Eisenhower warned everybody when he left office what was going to happen with the military complex, how they were going to get into government and take over.
And then look what happened.
Well, he warned everybody.
But didn't Eisenhower bring all the Nazi rocket scientists into NASA?
Because of technology. Yeah, he wanted to beat the Russians at their own game. Well, that was okay in a way. If they were torturing people, right. But I'm saying we needed that technology at the time, and so the Russians did the same thing. They took Nazis and brought them back to Soviet Union. That was a Cold War kind of thing.
Ultimately, is it even possible to be ethical and run a government?
Well, but it's like we have to almost clean the whole government out, Capitol, Congress, and
are you talking revolution?
Well, I'm talking about clean it up and start over again. But it's too scary to start you can't have a coup d'etat, whatever you call it, in America. We already tried it with Kennedy. They tried it and
it didn't work. It worked.
People wanted, it worked, but look what it did. It took us into Vietnam, Vietnam.
But that was what they wanted.
And all that money went into the Vietnam. Instead of the space program, which is crazy, drives me nuts. We could be flying. We could be taking a trip to the moon now if we had put that money into the space
we could have been taking a trip to the moon. We obviously
you could have been going to a moon base for a weekend.
Why did we waste all of that money
in Vietnam and
showing
we gave
that
it
we
all
could
away.
go to the moon and then we stopped going?
And then we gave it all. Yeah, that's another reason. Why did we go to the moon and why have we stopped? Right. Why did we not continue on? Too much. The Congress said we were spending too much money, but we didn't mind voting for Vietnam and troops and military. See, that's, the military. Even the military should have hatched onto that better. But I don't understand why the Soviets. We were the ones leading the world. Now the Chinese are going to end up doing a lot of it. That's when we're going to jump ahead again. When the Chinese land on the moon, then we're going to get scared again, like Sputnik, and start putting more money into it. But we're not going to be able to see it in our lifetime. I really thought we'd be seeing us go to Mars in my lifetime, and we're now. I'll be so old that if we do go to Mars, it'll be like the first man who stands on Mars. We're not going to see any of that great stuff we were promised.
That's sad,
None of it.
Isn't it? That's
yeah,
sad.
We're not going to see it. Your kids, not even your daughters maybe see it, but their kids.
So are you basically suggesting that the American dream is over?
Well, I've been hearing. So I hear it almost every night on the Art Bell show. They talk about how we're not going to be able to get out of the bank stuff. We're not going to be able to bail out. Everybody's talking about we cannot.
Do you think
bail
that
out.
this was all a plan by the upper class?
What is that, New World Order?
Yeah.
The New World Order, right. There's some plan to take over and make it all one government. And we have to have a big disaster to have that happen, like aliens from another world. They've all talked about it. There's a plan to make it look like we're getting, like Ronald Reagan said in his speech, remember? In the United Nations, how I think all our differences would be stopped if we had one,
Ronald Reagan said that?
Yeah, he said that.
Ronald Reagan.
Did you ever see his speech?
He wanted one world order?
He threatened that we might one day be attacked by aliens. If we were attacked by aliens, how all of our differences would be quelled. Because we'd all fight against a common cause. Yeah, like World War II, like a common cause.
We would unite as one human.
Right. How it would bring us all together. And that is true. But now people talk about it being a plan